PlayStation 5 has to be backwards compatible to compete with retro consoles. Hyperkin and analog, the main two players out there, use FPGA chips, field programmable array chips that can mimic processors of these older consoles. With this PS5 patent, well, supposedly it's going to be for the PS5. It has a spoofing ID thing that can identify the game as belonging to a certain console, and then the chips will act accordingly, and the game will think is running on a legacy device. But with FPGA chips that are already out there, it's being done by Analog and Hyperkin. Obviously, Analog to a higher degree. If they've done it with the NES, SNES, they're doing it with the Genesis. I think they've done it with some Atari type of consoles. The next logical step is, hey, they come in that 32-bit era, and they're going to chomp down on the PS1, and they probably jump into the 128-bit era with the PS2. So yeah, with those programmable chips, you can make things happen, and Analog can keep on making money. They can just do it one console at a time. They don't even got to do the full-fledged thing, and they can make it happen. They made it happen already, and they put out consoles that people have really wanted, up in a couple $100 range. PlayStation Classic was a failure, so obviously with that basic software emulation that they used, which I know that was the open source one out there, but they didn't even use that one right, and caught a lot of backlash. The PS3 doesn't even output 240p, so that makes it weird for PS1 games on high definition TVs. It really doesn't come out that good. And I'm not really sure about using PS2 games on there, but I'm sure not all of them were 480p or what have you, or 480i. A lot of them, especially early on, with probably 240p as well. And they may not have been reproduced correctly on those earlier PlayStations. I'll put it correctly, even though I know they had those chips for the PS2, and then they did the software for a little while, but that didn't work out too well. So they just cut out the software emulation on some of the consoles that came after initial hardware emulation for the PS2. But yeah, Sony really needs to jump on these FPGA chips. They know they have to in order to get it right. Because right now, it's probably best, at least I heard, it's best to download some of those classic titles on these modern consoles, and they've been, verified, looked through, updated to run properly. But if people that have an older collection want to pop in a disc, you want things to work properly, and those games think it's being run on older hardware. So I assume the basic thing behind this patent is saying, hey, we're sliding this disc in, and hey, it's recognizing it, and it's automatically switching over those chips to run this type of hardware. I'm sure it's a little different than the Hyperkins with all those, playing SNES, NES, Sega Genesis, and one kind of consoles. I'm sure there's some kind of proprietary switch thing. They'll make it seamless, and I'm sure they got to get this right. I mean, it's Sony, your hardware. You can actually do it officially. You don't have to try to, you can do it officially with all your patents without infringing yourself. Make it official, make it clone copies to be highly accurate. But Analog ain't been no slouch either, and they got the timing right when it comes to a lot of these 16-bit era games. And I'm sure they're going to take a crack at the 32-bit as well and get that timing right. I'm sure it won't be perfect. I'm sure Sony can get perfect, even though they haven't been perfect with some of the other emulation. But if they're really putting their own chips onto this patent, this PGA, then those chips can be exact, and the games can run exact, be perfect emulation, and it'll get rid of anybody that thinks about creating a retro console based on Sony. So yeah, they have to do it for this PS5. They don't have a choice. Maybe they can even put, they don't have a choice. And since it's still x86 along the lines of the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, maybe it can be an update for this patented software technology that you can put on the PS4 Pro as well. Or maybe just put the PS4 Pro, have it as the backwards compatible console, and then put it on the PS5 at the end of the PS5's life. But something has to be done soon. Sony knows it's coming, so they better jump on it right now and make these perfect clone chips that can change based on what game is inserted and act like the original hardware. So yeah, that's my take. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.